What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Knicks News, the channel where we keep it real about everything New York Knicks. And today, I need to talk about something that has been eating at me. Because honestly, as a Knicks fan, I feel like we are watching a slow-motion disaster unfold right in front of our eyes, and nobody seems to be doing anything about it. Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson. The guy has been with this franchise his entire career. And the way things are looking right now, it seems like he is about to walk out the door, and the front office might just let it happen like it's nothing. Like he's just some random guy off the street. No. This isn't just some rotation piece we're talking about. This is Mitch. This is our guy. And I am frustrated. I am genuinely frustrated right now. But here's the thing, and this is what really gets me. It's not just about the emotions. It's not just about the loyalty. Because even if you strip all of that away and you look at the situation purely from a business standpoint, from a basketball operation standpoint, just letting Robinson walk without getting anything in return will be one of the most wasteful moves this front office has ever made. And that is saying something, because we have seen some moves. So let me break down what's actually at stake here, and why the Knicks absolutely cannot afford to sleep on this. If Robinson is truly gone, and everything right now is pointing in that direction, from how the front office behaved recently to the way Mitch himself has been talking publicly about his free agency situation, if he's truly gone, then New York needs to be smart about how he leaves. Because there is a massive difference between losing a player for nothing and losing a player while getting something back that helps you build for the future. And the tool that could save the Knicks here, it's called a sign-in trade. Now, I know, some of you might be rolling your eyes right now like, oh, great, cap space talk. But stick with me here, because this actually matters a lot for where this team is headed. Even though the Knicks are operating above the first apron right now, meaning their flexibility is already limited, they can still execute a sign-in trade for Robinson as long as the team on the receiving end of that deal is below the cap. So the door isn't closed. The door is still open. But somebody in that front office needs to walk through it before it slams shut. Now, what would they actually get back? Let's be real with each other. We're probably not talking about landing some star player in return. We're not talking about some blockbuster deal that reshapes the roster overnight. The Knicks have somewhere around $8 or $9 million of space available in the second round area of their salary structure, and that's assuming they let Landry Shamet walk too. If Shamet comes back, even that space disappears. So realistically, we might be looking at second round draft picks, maybe a young cheap contract that barely dents the books. Like, hypothetically, someone suggested a deal with Charlotte that brings back Ryan Kalkbrenner, who's making like $2.5 million next season. That's the level of return we're talking about here. And I know that sounds underwhelming. I know. Trust me, I'm not jumping up and down about second-round picks either. But here's where I need you guys to think bigger picture with me. Because this front office, whatever you think about their decisions, they have shown that they actually know how to use second-round picks. They treat those picks like currency. They use them to build depth, to take swings on guys who could become rotation players, or they flip them in bigger deals to make other things happen. So even if the return seems small on the surface, it's still infinitely better than getting absolutely zero for a guy who's given this franchise everything he had. And then there's the other piece of this that I think people are sleeping on completely. If the Knicks sign Robinson and trade him without getting a player back in return, they generate what's called a traded player exception, a TP, worth whatever his first-year salary would have been. Now, a TP lets you absorb a player from another team without having to match salaries going the other way. You don't have to send money back. You just take the guy in. Will the Knicks use it immediately? Probably not, especially if they're trying to stay cautious about pushing further into the luxury tax penalties. But that exception lasts for a year, and a lot can change in a year. Injuries happen. Roster needs shift. Trade opportunities pop up out of nowhere. Having a TP sitting there worth potentially $10, $11, $12 million, that's a weapon. That's a tool you didn't have before. And in this league, having extra tools in your toolkit is never, ever a bad thing. So when I step back and I look at the full picture here, I see a situation where the Knicks are about to lose one of their own, a guy who has bled for this team through injuries and surgeries and setbacks. And the question isn't really whether they lose him at this point. Based on everything we're seeing, it feels like that ship has sailed. The question is how they lose him. And that distinction matters enormously. If they just let him walk, if Robinson just signed somewhere else on his own, without any kind of deal being worked out, New York gets nothing. Zero. Empty hands. And that is completely unacceptable to me as a fan of this team. You cannot let a player of his caliber, a player who was drafted here, developed here, who gave everything he had every single time he stepped on that floor, just disappear into the night like a ghost. And honestly, this situation is bigger than just Robinson. It speaks to a pattern that Knicks fans have had to live with for years. The feeling that decisions are being made for reasons that have nothing to do with winning basketball games. The feeling that personal dynamics and front office politics are getting in the way of what's actually best for this team on the court. And I don't want to turn this into a rant because that's not what this channel is about. We're here to talk basketball. But I also can't sit here and pretend like this stuff doesn't affect us as fans, because it does. It absolutely does. Look, the Knicks front office has done a lot of things right over the past few years. Building this roster from the ground up, adding talent through trades and drafts, making New York relevant again, that's all real. I'm not going to take that away from them. But this situation, if it plays out the way it looks like it's going to, this is a miss. This is a big miss. And the least they can do, the absolute bare minimum, is make sure they squeeze every possible drop of value out of the situation before it's over. Get the sign-and trade done. Get those picks. Create that exception. Don't let him walk for nothing. Because at the end of the day, this franchise has a chance to turn a tough loss into something they can actually use going forward. And that is what smart front offices do. They don't just absorb bad news. They find a way to make something out of it. All right, I've said my piece. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, do you think the Knicks should push for a sign-and trade, or do you think there's still a chance Robinson stays? I genuinely want to know what this community thinks, because you guys always bring the heat in the comments, and I love that about this channel. And if you haven't already, smash that like button right now. It takes literally 2 seconds, and it helps this channel more than you know. Every like tells the algorithm that Knicks fans are out here paying attention, and we need that momentum going into what is shaping up to be a very interesting offseason. Stay locked in, stay loud, and as always, let's go Knicks. We'll talk soon.